It's no secret we're introducing adamantium, for instance, into the MCU. And I think fans are gonna understand just how important that is.
Yeah, he dragged the chair into a semicircle that we were all sitting in, and so that was instantly humanized himself. Instead of just like this larger-than-life star, he was one of the gang, and he gave us permission to be ourselves and to crack jokes, because he came in cracking jokes. He came in being himself.
The MCU is getting big in a way that I think is really interesting, but you never want to forget where you've come from, and you always want to make sure that if there are storylines that fans feel like we've abandoned, just know that we haven't.
The country is on the brink of war. Flex. There's someone behind all this. Flex. Watch yourself. You're not Steve Rogers. You're right. I'm not.
Joaquin looks like he's very happy to be there and very happy to get involved. How much does that mirror your own experience of being involved in the film as an actor?
That was a slice of life moment for me, because I think Danny and Joaquin, myself and Joaquin, sorry, I'm not gonna refer to myself in third person, it's too early. There's so many parallels between the experience that Joaquin was having and what I was having on set. Obviously, working in such a massive film, everything is so shiny and amazing, and there's, every morning I'd have to pinch myself, because whether I was tired or not, it's like, this is an amazing dream to be living. And so Joaquin, in the same way, working with Sam and ripping through the air and all these cool missions that, like, his entire dream was to be allowed in, right? And so Sam and him have developed this amazing rapport, and I think it's so obvious to be happy there. You know, it's so clear as day to wake up and attack the day knowing that you're living your dream. And so, yeah, it's the art was imitating life and life was imitating art.
Yeah, did it help in some ways that you'd had the chance to establish the character a bit on the TV show, Falcon and Winter Soldier, when it came to then going into the film world? Was that quite interesting to play the character a bit and give him some background?
A little bit, because I think on the TV show, it's living out things that I would have done in my process anyway to create a character. And so much of the seed of Joaquin was from the comics. And the comics allowed me to figure out, like, all right, this is his distilled energy, or just a seed of where his energy and where it sits. And even though it wasn't a one-for-one translation into the TV show and into the movie, it just allowed me to grasp onto something that was realized and hold on to that. And so I think whether or not the show definitely helped in just playing out what would have happened, how Sam and I met, what that first interaction was like, and it hit me because it was so obvious, like when I was shooting the show, oh, this is the first time that I meet Sam Wilson. And through filming the movie, we had already established such rapport, and I knew Anthony, and we had obviously had that experience that I didn't even think about it. I remember when the first time I met him, the opening scene of the TV show, it was just kind of this thing that felt more lived in. And I think that also mirrored my relationship with Anthony at the time. And it's crazy. I'm here talking about it like it's our 10th movie together. It's our first.
Yeah. Obviously, this is, the latest in many Captain America films, but this first of a new generation, I suppose, with Anthony Mackie, Sam Wilson coming into the lead role. What was the most important thing about getting right, I guess, of the first in the new generation?
Yeah, I think it's to capture how differently Sam Wilson approaches this mantle than Steve Rogers did. Steve was a man at a time, was a super soldier, sort of was an anachronism in the modern world. Sam is very much a modern man, but without the superpower. So he has to deal with moving through the world differently. He has to deal with threats differently. And I do think his superpower is his empathy and his charisma. He's sort of never stopped being that army counselor, And I think he's going to find himself faced in this film with physical threats unlike anything he's ever seen, and he can't punch his way out of it. And I think that's what makes it interesting.
Yeah, and it must help that, Anthony Mackie has played this character for so many years and will, I guess, be bringing a lot of his own ideas to the character as well. What was it like to collaborate closely with him on this new iteration?
Yeah, it's been great. Look, I've known him for more than a decade at this point, and sometimes it is really helpful to hew characters closer to their real-world counterparts. Like, for instance, when we made the Falcon and Winter Soldier show, part of why we chose to make his backstory set in New Orleans is because that's very much Mackie's experience. And so it allowed him to inhabit the character in a way that felt really natural. And as we were building this movie, we talked a lot with Mackie about his perspective on taking the mantle, the things he thought Sam would embrace, the things he thought might be more of a challenge for Sam. And I think we were able to weave a lot of those themes into the fabric of the movie. So that hopefully Sam's journey mirrors sort of Mackie's journey as becoming Captain America.
And how important do you think it is for fans to have seen the TV show, the Falcon and Winter Soldier as well, to kind of properly be up to speed from events since we last saw?
I think it helps, but we've really made this film so that if you've never seen a Marvel movie at all, you can follow along and enjoy what's happening. I think if you've seen everything, there's going to be a deeper depth, I think, to some of these relationships and some of the ideas. But if you just tuned in for the first time and this is your first time buying a ticket for a Marvel movie, you should be able to enjoy this film. And that is a bit of a narrative challenge, right? You don't want to have to repeat a bunch of stuff that as a fan you go, I know this, don't tell me that. But you also don't want to, if you're bringing somebody for the first time, have them be lost and saying, what? Why are they talking about that? What does that mean? Now, there are some concepts in this movie that I think people are going to be new to some people. Certainly, it's no secret we're introducing adamantium, for instance, into the MCU. And I think fans are going to understand just how important that is, but hopefully the general audience will understand how important it is to this movie and why it's being introduced in this movie in a way that helps that movie work.
I imagine, joining a franchise like the MCU as a director, it's on the one hand quite daunting, but then on the other hand, there's, I guess, this inbuilt love for the franchise already. What was your kind of first reaction to being asked to helm this film?
Look, I'm genuinely surprised when anybody would think of me for something like this. So it was certainly a surprise, a very pleasant surprise. But the real thing that I wanted to be sure of was that, if I did it, I was offering something that would be beneficial to the film. And when I first had conversations with Nate Moore, our producer on the film, and Kiana Davidson, our co-producer, we talked about Sam Wilson, and we talked about his journey in the MCU. We talked about theme, and we talked about character, and then tone and genre, all the things that as a filmmaker you want to be talking about. It wasn't just about spectacle and action and, phases and stuff like that. So that really reassured me and got me excited. They're filmmakers at Marvel. So getting to collaborate with another team of filmmakers was just awesome, and I'm so grateful for the experience.
And then movie stars don't really get any bigger than Harrison Ford, who has obviously got a very important role in this film. What's it like to kind of direct him, especially your first day directing someone like Harrison Ford? Because it must be kind of an incredible
It's incredible. I still pinch myself. I remember the first day he was on set. Harrison is an incredible professional. He comes so prepared. He studies the script religiously. He thinks through all the details, his props, his costume, everything. So, it makes you raise your game. And I learned so much from him because, as you said, Mackie has a tremendous experience in this universe, but Harrison has a tremendous experience as a storyteller. So being able to lean on that, and I've watched so many of these movies like we all have on the big screen, What Lies Beneath and Patriot Games and Clear and Present Danger, and of course there's the big iconic ones, Indiana Jones and Star Wars. And, Witness. I mean, you can just go on and on with incredible Harrison Ford performances. So being able to work with him and to also learn from him was a real treat.
I'm just incredibly spoiled, honestly. It's every time that the projects that end up happening and the people I end up working with, I think it's not lost on me how incredibly lucky I am to, one, be accepted by these artists and these creatives and be trusted by them to throw down in the same space. So, it doesn't get any, Harrison Ford was playing in my house 24/7. Air Force One was the movie on repeat in my house, my mom's favorite actor, and so to be sharing the same screen with him is a dream come true. Or even walking down the hallway doing press and he passes by, he taps you on the shoulder, or cracks a joke at you. These are things that I think I would have never really imagined. And the same with Tom Cruise. Obviously, we had an 11th month process, and it's been a dream.
What was that kind of your first meeting with Harrison Ford like? Do you remember the first time you were?
He dragged the chair into a semicircle that we were all sitting in, and so that was instantly humanized himself. Instead of just this larger than life star, he was one of the gang, and he gave us permission to be ourselves and to crack jokes because He came in cracking jokes. He came in being himself. And that to me allows me to, whatever weird choice I was trying to make, I'm like, you know what, I should do it. Harrison's not gonna judge me, and if he does, it's gonna be a fun little joke. But it's gonna be something that brings more positivity and more risk taking. And so yeah, I thank him for that. And Anthony too, they created such a safe space to just like send it.
Yeah, we weren't sure he was going to be up for it, to be honest. But we knew that Bill is such a talented performer. He's very hard to replace. I don't think you ever can. And the truth is, Harrison was very aware of Bill's work, and that's part of, I think, why he wanted to do the role as an homage to his fellow actor. But Harrison also was very careful for it to not feel like a William Hurt performance. He wanted it to be his own, you know, and it helped that Thaddeus is at a different point in his career, so there is something the character is going through that Harrison's also going through, which is inheriting the new mantle of the president. And so Ross is both the guy, hopefully if you tracked Ross throughout the MCU, he's the same guy that you met in The Incredible Hulk, but at a different phase of his life, and having to figure out if President Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross is the same guy as the general you met in 2008.
Yeah, I was at a Q&A this morning and you were asked to sum up the film in 3 words, and one of the words you used was surprising.
Yeah.
And, you know, obviously I know you won't be able to give away any surprises, but what do you hope that fans react to some of the surprises that they can expect?
I hope they feel justified, and I hope they feel fulfilled, right? The MCU is getting big in a way that I think is really interesting, but you never want to forget where you've come from, and you always want to make sure that if there are storylines that fans feel like we've abandoned, just know that we haven't. You know, we want to make sure when we make them or we bring them back or express them in a different way, it's the right idea. And I think there are some really fun surprises in the film that I think will be really satisfying for fans. And again, if you haven't seen anything, hopefully the surprises work just as part of the film, but it is a love letter to our fans to some degree, because there's shades of Incredible Hulk in this movie, there's shades of the Eternals in this movie, obviously, there's some Black Widow references. Like, it is all about the MCU writ large, and I think that's what makes this movie kind of special.